everyone, welcome back to the channel. Those of you that have been watching previous videos will know that I am in exactly the same spot as I was in when I finished off my March TBR, including the cat that's Sav just there. I've literally just pressed stop and then I press record because I need to quickly open this vlog and say hello, and then I'm going off to see Charlotte. So it's the 2nd of April, we're on Easter holidays. I'll put my March vlog in the description so that you can go and see that if you want to see what I've been up to most recently. And I'm very excited to get going and get on the road, but I have finished a book. So the book that I finished was gifted to me. I want to say it was Marianne. It was. So thank you so much for sending this to me, Marianne. I'm really glad I got the chance to read it. It's one that was really hyped and made a lot of people's best books of the year list for last year. And that book is The Things We Do to Our Friends by Heather Darwent. And I gave this 3 stars. I was bored by quite a lot of this book. So we are following, what is her name? Claire. And it's kind of a dark, well, it is like a dark academia literary, not a thriller, literary book. We follow Claire, who has moved to Edinburgh to go to university, and she falls in with this group of rich kids who are studying she's doing like history of art or something, and she falls in with this group of rich kids, and it's about what happens to them basically. And we know from the very start that Claire is an unreliable narrator. We know that she's keeping secrets from us as the reader, but also from her friends, and it's kind of this dark, twisty kind of deep dive into this friendship group. And yeah, I was bored by about halfway through. I really liked the beginning. I thought the atmosphere was really good. I feel like it captured the setting of Edinburgh really well, which isn't a city I know super well, but I have been there twice, and it definitely caught the vibe or what I think of when I think of Edinburgh. I liked the dark sides of friendship that is looked at in this, and the kind of sometimes the obsessive nature of friendship. But like I said, by about the halfway point I was bored. It does read really fast because the chapters are super short. But yeah, I don't get the hype for this one. So yeah, 3 stars. I am still really glad I got to read it because it's definitely one that I was keeping an eye out for. And also I've shown this in other videos, but the spine of this book is one of the nicest spines I've ever seen, because obviously you've got the snake on the front. Look at the spine, snake scales, that's really cool. So yeah, no, this didn't hit for me, unfortunately. So yeah, that was my first read of the month, which was 3 stars. I am now off to see Charlotte. I'm planning, as I'm sat here, to vlog that separately. So if that's happened, that vlog will have gone up before this one. So I'll link that in the description. I'm not planning to chat to you in this video whilst I'm with Charlotte, because like I said, I'm vlogging that separately. If I do finish a book, I might do a brief update. I will also put a little bit of b-roll in so you can kind of get the idea of where I've been this week. But mostly I will obviously come back and chat to you when I get home on Thursday. And even when I get home on Thursday, we're leaving again for another trip on Friday, so I'll obviously take you for that. But yeah, I'll put the Charlotte vlog, I haven't decided what to call it yet, in the description if you want to go and see our shenanigans. But yeah, I'm gonna get going because I'm really excited. I haven't seen Charlotte, I want to say, for 2 years, which is shocking. And yeah, I will see you in a bit. It's the 3rd of April, and I said that you probably wouldn't see me again until I'm home. I'm obviously not at home. I'm in the cottage near Charlotte's. This video will go up after the vlog, so I will have linked that already if I hadn't said that. I'm having an absolutely lovely time, but I will obviously leave that for that vlog. I did, however, finish a book this morning, which was The Death of Downton Abbey by Mandy Morton. This had been my school book, so I actually started reading it very sporadically in February. And I finished it off this morning. It's book number 3 in the number 2 Feline Detective Agency series. I love this series. I've talked about it quite a bit before on my channel. It's funny that I finished this on a trip to see Charlotte, because I started this series because of Charlotte, because she bought me book number 11, I think it is, just because she saw it and enjoyed the pun. It's a play on The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, which is one of my favourite books of all time. So she bought it for me kind of as a joke, and then I read it and loved it. So I've now gone back to the start, and like I said, this is book number 3. And we're following, what are they called? Hetty and Tilly, who run the #2 feline detective agency, and it's in a world where everything is the same as our world except everybody is a cat. And the level of cat puns in this was just absolutely peak. Like in this one, there's a literary festival going on in the town, and everyone's there, and Hetty and Tilly are there to kind of do security and help run things, and they have a whole load of famous authors who are cats, who are coming to give talks and things, and then people start dying, and one of the first to die is Downton Tabby, who is kind of the star of the show, and he's the main author that's everyone has come to see, and it's just about how Hetty and Tilly manage 24 hours basically, or 40 hours of this festival and what happens, and I just absolutely loved it. I gave this 4 stars. I think this is my favourite one so far. I love these books because 1, they're easy to read and just fly through. 2, I love the friendship between Hetty and Tilly. 3, there are some gorgeous descriptions of food. Honestly, if you could read this and not feel hungry, you're a better person than me. And it's also quite gruesome. It's like unexpectedly dark, and yeah, this is a cozy mystery, but there's definitely some darkness in there as well, so check content warnings before you pick it up. But I really enjoyed this. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. It was a fun, easy time. I'm looking forward to the next one, although the next one is a Christmas book, so I can't read that till December because my brain just can't deal with books in the wrong seasons like that. But yeah, I really enjoy this series, and it was a fun time. We're going to do this real quick because Charlotte's literally on her way here, but I have just finished reading Perfect Kill by Helen Fields. I read it via audiobook. I'll put the picture up here, as I have done with this whole series reread. Highly, highly, highly recommend the series and the audiobook. It is Luke Kalanick book number 6. I've only got one left, which is One for Sorrow, which made my top books of last year. They are all super, super dark police procedurals. Previous ones have dealt with serial killers. This one dealt with a criminal gang. I love the way that the different strands of the story are woven together. I love the way that the overarching storyline of the 7 books is pushed forwards in this. Huge content warnings for lots and lots of different things, so please check them out before you pick this up. I don't really want to give any because one in particular that I'm thinking of is a definite spoiler. So just if you need content warnings in general, please go and check for this series. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. And I'm really scared because I now only have One for Sorrow left. But yeah, read it, 5 stars. Highly recommend if you can manage the content. It's the 4th of April and I am home, back from my little trip up to see Charlotte. I have already said, as I said, I've been vlogging this whole thing. So I, in that vlog, have told you about the 6 books that I bought. Whoops. Sorry, not sorry. 4 from the charity shops and 2 brand new ones. Here comes Sav again. It's like Groundhog Day. That's literally just happened in that clip that I've just filmed. Yeah, I've already explained all of these. So if you want to see in more detail about these books, that will be in that clip. But yeah, I just wanted to let you, this vlog know, it's really complicated filming 2 vlogs at the same time. I wanted to let this vlog know that I am home, very briefly. I am going to spend today, or the rest of today, it's now like 3 o'clock, I think. I need to unpack because I brought home, I don't know why it is that it looks like I'm moving out every time I go away for 2 nights. But yeah, I need to unpack everything, put some laundry on, and get that hanging out ASAP, and then repack my bag because tomorrow we are going down to just outside Yeovil, which I booked for Gary for his birthday. I will obviously link in the description because we won't be there by the time these videos go up. The Airbnb that I went to see Charlotte in, and the Airbnb that I booked for Gary and I for his birthday in the description, so you can see, because I know some of you guys sometimes use them as recommendations, which is cool. Yeah, because tomorrow I'm going to film April content, because by the time this goes up, hopefully that you've had a full month of content from me for April, because March didn't happen. So yeah, I'm going to film my April content tomorrow, and then we're going in the afternoon once Gary's finished work. So yeah, that's the update for now, really. It's absolutely pouring rain. I don't know if you can hear it. If I stop jabbering for a second. Can you hear that? Maybe not. Trust me, it's chucking it down. So yeah, I'm going to go unpack, do laundry, finish my March video, which I edited this morning, lay in bed. But it still needs like scheduling and description box and all that stuff. So do that, and then get ready for tomorrow. So yeah, I'm home. I'm tired, as you can tell from the jabbering. But I'm going off on another adventure with the husband tomorrow. It's the 8th of April, and I'm going to warn you in advance that this clip might descend into complete and utter chaos. You can probably hear the washing machine in the background. All 3 cats are now roaming because Jack is now back out. His leg seems to be fine, so we let him out yesterday. And the 3 of them are getting used to each other again, and it's a little bit chaotic at the moment. Plus, husband's upstairs, so you might be able to hear him because he's working. And I've got a feeling that this clip is going to get interrupted by him in a minute because it turns out, fun surprise, new house needs a new roof. Great. So yeah, we're just in the midst of sorting that out and working out what that means for us and our house purchase. There's Jack. So yeah, this may get a little bit chaotic. However, we had such a lovely weekend. It was my birthday present to Gary, obviously for his birthday, which is at the end of March. And we don't really buy each other stuff. I did buy him a few bits this time because I did him a treasure hunt for his birthday, and I will probably have already linked my March wrap up if you want to see. As Jack. If you want to see a bit more of that, it's in that vlog. But yeah, we don't tend to buy each other stuff anymore. We tend to take each other away. So I was looking for something really quiet and peaceful. We're both exhausted. He's really tired as well. He's dealing with the majority of the house stuff because I just don't have the capacity during a school term. So he's kind of taken on a lot of that. I'm obviously exhausted from term, although I'm feeling so much better today. I feel like I've gone over the hump today, so hopefully I'm actually starting to recharge now. Yeah, so I was looking for something really peaceful and quiet and calm, and boy did I find a good one. I will leave it linked in the description. It was in East Coker. Henry is the host, and it was just beautiful. As you saw, it was this purpose-built cabin in his garden, really private, and you are like next to the owner's house, but because all of the windows face away, like face into the valley, it really feels like you are alone. Really beautifully done, so comfortable. We had the best time. Went out for a really nice meal on the Saturday to the Helia Arms, which I will try and remember to link in the description as well if you fancy it. It was just really good, and we just had such a nice couple of days. I logged off the internet, and we just read and ate and chilled and watched a bit of TV and sat out on the veranda because that was covered. So even though the weather was horrible because we're having I think it's Storm Kathleen right now, it was just really cozy. It was really lovely. It was a perfect weekend. And then we came back to reality yesterday. But like I said, on the upside, Jack is now out. In case this is your first video that you watched of mine, one of our cats, Jack, was clipped by a car almost 2 months ago now. And his back leg was damaged, and it's just been a whole palaver, but he's now looks like he's fully healed. So he's now back out in general circulation, and Molly and Savannah are getting used to having him back in the house, because in case you don't know, he has dementia and he has quite a strong personality. Some days he's super mellow, and chill like he used to be, and then other times he can be quite aggressive with the girl cats, so we just have to keep an eye on him. So yeah, they are reacclimatizing to having him back in general circulation. So like I said, today's the 8th, it's Monday. I've got to go and pick Charlie up. I need to leave in about half an hour, so I need to film this because I've got 4 books to talk to you about. I had an absolutely stonking reading weekend. Then I'm going to go pick Charlie up, and we've got him for a week, which is great. Don't really have anything planned. His mum and his stepdad took him to Rome, which is really exciting for him, and I'm so glad he got to go. But also it's like, well, now it's back to reality and we have no plans because we have to buy a new roof. But he will be fine with it. Or he's 14, all he wants to do really is play on his Xbox. So yeah, we're going to go for brunch today, which he and I always do on our first day of holiday together. So we're going to get some brunch. I need to do a quick food shop, and then I need to get marking this afternoon. So I'm going to try and get my year 9s marked today. And then I've got 2 sets of year 7s to do, sort of spread through the rest of the week. So I need to get that done. And then tomorrow I have literally no plans. Charlie needs a haircut, so I'm going to send him off to the barber. There's a barber shop in our village, so I'll send him up there to get his hair tidied. Other than that, there's literally no plans. Going to cook a spag bowl. And then the rest of the week is just kind of pottering about. Gary's off with us Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then obviously the weekend. I'm going for lunch with the mother-in-law on Wednesday and a catch-up, which will be really nice. But yeah, the rest of the week is just kind of at home. I need to mark. I've got a few like chores, house chores to do. Like I need to clear out my clothes and swap out my winter stuff with my spring stuff. Well, winter with summer, I only really have 2 seasons in my wardrobe. And all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's talk about books, because that is obviously why you guys are actually here. So I finished 4 books this weekend, and in fact I started and finished 2 books this weekend, which I was very proud of myself for. There goes Jack again. So the first book that I finished was Sorry Bro by Celine Voskuni, which I was very kindly sent by Book Break last year. They sent a kind of book bundle and this was in there. And then when I went to see Charlotte, I sent her a picture of my TBR and I was like, it seems only right that you choose me a book to read whilst I'm up with you. She picked this because it's on her TBR. And this is a romance story, contemporary story. We're following an Armenian woman whose non-Armenian boyfriend, I think there's a word for it, I'm not sure if it's on here or not. No, it doesn't. Proposes. Instead of being excited, she panics and faints and eventually says no. And it's kind of a wake-up call. She lives with her mother and her grandmother. Her father's died a few years previously. And she kind of realises that she's kind of lost touch with her Armenian culture, and so having said no to this boyfriend, she then says to her mother, okay, I will try dating some Armenian men. And so there's this kind of Armenian festival, is it? I can't remember what they call it, kind of series of events that are going on within the Armenian culture in San Francisco. And is it San Francisco? Yes, sorry, I'm really bad at remembering place names. And so she agrees with her mother that she will try dating some Armenian men. And the first event that she goes to, so our protagonist's name is Na. What are we doing, Jack? He's just wandering about today. The first person that she meets is this woman called Erebuni. I don't know if I've said that right. And they start a friendship, which then leads into a romance. And Na's always known that she's bisexual. And I'm not in voices for that, but I really liked the way that was done and her kind of doubting herself because she's never dated a woman. So is she really bisexual if she's not dated a woman? All of that kind of stuff. I gave this 3.5 stars. I found this really charming. It was very much, it says on the back, it says, An Own Voices debut rom-com, a bisexual, my big fat Greek wedding. And it very much has the vibe of that film, which I love. It's one of my favourite films. And it's just such a great, if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. I loved learning about Armenian culture and the descriptions of the food and like the dances that they were doing at some of the social gatherings and kind of the social rules and how it all works. I also found it interesting to learn a bit about the Armenian genocide, which the woman that she meets is kind of an expert in that field and is giving talks and stuff to educate people on that. And I found that really interesting, particularly because Nara, our protagonist, is very dismissive at the start of that whole part of her culture. And to her, it's just this historical thing that happened like 100 years ago. And why are we still talking about it? And through the book, she comes to understand why it's so important to... Sorry, Jack's now... What are you doing? I think he's hunting a fly. Yeah, she kind of comes to understand why it's so important to understand that part of her history and her culture. I only gave it 3.5 because sorry, he's literally doing zoomies. Because there was good chemistry between the two female like romance leads, but the woman that she meets just felt like an outline, like she could have really been anyone. We didn't really get to know her. It felt a bit surface level. And also Nat is really annoying. And I'm going to say this about another one of the books in a minute. I really struggle with books where I don't like the protagonist. And Na's in her mid-30s, early 30s. I think she's about 33. But she was behaving like a teenager. And some of the decisions she was making, I was like, seriously, have a word with yourself. So I did find her a bit annoying. And also, there's sort of a cheating storyline to this, because although Na doesn't say yes to the proposal at the start of the book, she also doesn't say no until we are much further in. So she's kind of cheating on her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, with this situation that she finds herself in with the woman that she meets. Sorry, I'm completely distracted by Jack, who is just running around like a loony. Yeah, so it just kind of felt a bit like cheating, and I just really wanted her to have some conversations with her family members, because she kind of assumes that they're going to be homophobic and like builds her entire life around that assumption, but she doesn't actually talk to any of them for a while. So yeah, 3.5. It was a fun, easy, cute read. Wasn't perfect. I would read more from the author though. So there was that one. Then I started and finished in one day 5 Go Adventuring, again by Enid Blyton. This is the second book in this bind up that's got the first 3 books in it together. Again, if you haven't seen my March vlog, you will see me haul it then and talk about the first book. I decided to pick up the second book for kind of an easy read. Loved it. I told you this would be chaotic. So my phone then rang because I forgot to put my phone on airplane mode. Then the husband came down. So anyway, I was talking about 5 Go Adventuring again, which is book 2 in the Famous 5 series. I don't have loads to say about it. I enjoyed it. It was a really nostalgic read. Gave it 4 stars. It was fun. I'm looking forward to reading 5 Runaway Together. Kind of want to read it this month, but also might leave it till next month. But yeah, 4 stars. Enjoyed that one. Then I finally finished The Fellowship of the Ring, which is The Lord of the Rings Part 1. And yeah, it's safe to say I enjoyed it. Look at all those tabs. I tabbed this for different characters. So each colour is a different character. So I'm obviously not going to tell you what they're for because I feel like it'd be spoilers. But I had the best time reading this. In case you're new here, I don't read fantasy, I don't read slow books, I don't take loads of time over reading books, I don't tab books, but apparently all of those things are a lie. I've been reading this since the start of March. I think it took me at least a good 3 weeks, if not a full month, to read this book. And the reason for that was, one, I was tabbing it, so I was going through it slower than I normally would. And secondly, I was only reading it when I was like, had enough energy to focus on it. So I wasn't reading it in the evenings after school, that kind of stuff. So mostly at weekends. And I was limiting myself to 1 chapter per reading session. And I just had the absolute best time. In case you don't know this book, I feel like literally everybody on the planet knows this book, but we are following Frodo, who has had the One Ring kind of fall into his lap, and he and a band of other characters are going to Mordor to destroy it, basically, because the One Ring is going to bring about basically the end of the world. And it's about this first part is about Frodo kind of accepting his mission, and then getting together with the Fellowship in part 2 of this book, and then them starting their journey properly. And I just love this. I gave this 5 stars. Was it a 5-star book? Possibly not. The whole like Tom Bombadil bit I could have done without. There were bits that were really slow. However, by the time I got to the end, I was so invested in the characters that I cried. I had a little weep that I'd finished the book. Also because I don't have books 2 and 3 currently, because I want them in these editions. Because I knew that I was going to find reading this book challenging, I needed editions that my dyslexia was happy with. And so I read The Hobbit in this edition, and now Fellowship of the Ring. And I can't find the next book, which is 2 Towers, or the third book, which is Return of the King, in these editions. I've had to do an online Waterstones order, and they're not arriving for ages. So I need to wait for the next book to come. As soon as the next book comes, I will be reading it, be starting it. But I just adored the characters in this. I just had the best time, and I'm completely in love with Sam. I feel like, I don't know if this is a controversial opinion, and also it might change as I read the rest of the story, but I feel like actually Frodo is not the protagonist, the main character of this. I feel like it's Sam. And his journey is the bit that I'm invested in. But yeah, I absolutely love this. Very much surprised myself. Gave it 5 stars, absolutely fantastic, and yeah, I can't wait to read the next book. And then yesterday when we got home, I finished a book that I started on Saturday, I think, and that is Every Time I Go on Vacation Someone Dies by Catherine Mack. This comes out in May. I was sent this very cool art copy by Book Break last month, so again, if you haven't seen my March vlog, you can see me unbox it, unwrap it there. I was sent a really cool PR package, which hasn't happened for a while, so that was a nice surprise. I'm now trying to get it out of the slipcase. Here we go. So this is the cover. I don't know if the final cover will be different, but this is the art cover. And like I said, this comes out, does it say when in May or just May? I'm not sure. But yeah, this was an arc that I was very kindly sent by Book Break. Does it tell me on the inside? No, it doesn't have an exact date. Anyway, next month it comes out. And we are following Eleanor Dash, who is an author. She's been writing crime stories for the last 10 years. Excuse me. For the last 10 years. And to kind of promote and celebrate her 10th book in this long-running series that she's been writing, her publishers have sent her on this tour of Italy, and she's going to be in Rome and Amalfi and Capri and all these beautiful places. And also on the tour are other thriller authors and some like super fans who have won the chance to be on this tour with them. And then people start dying. I gave this 3 stars. I had really high hopes for this. I loved the premise. I loved the blurb on the back. I loved the first sort of couple of chapters. But this didn't quite work for me on a number of levels. So we are very much in Eleanor's head. She is telling the story directly to you as the reader. Breaking the fourth wall, which is something I really enjoy. However, something that really irritates me in books is footnotes, like unnecessary footnotes. And there are a lot of footnotes in this book. So just be aware of that before you go in. There was actually, to be fair, a clue on the front cover, because you've got the little asterisk there, and then it says underneath, it turns out writing a murder mystery is easier than living one. And it does that a lot all the way through, and it just felt really unnecessary because the voice is already speaking directly to you. I feel like we didn't need the footnotes. Also, the footnotes I kind of used a lot to be like, nudge nudge, have you worked it out yet? Because you're trying to work out who the murderer is before everyone else, and it just felt a bit like wink wink nudge nudge, and I personally just found that annoying. I also really didn't like Eleanor. I found her really annoying and rude. There are quite a few diet culture references in here as well for a book that's publishing in 2024. I feel like we don't need that anymore. And something that also annoyed me with this, she just casually gives away the ending of a load of mystery books. So if you are currently reading any Agatha Christie, don't pick this up, because if you don't want spoilers, because she does just casually spoil Murder on the Orient Express and The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, definitely, and possibly a couple of others in there. And it was just like, excuse me, like, why are we doing that? So yeah, this was an easy read. It was fun. It was well paced. I just didn't like the main character, and I didn't love the writing style with the footnotes, because it just felt a bit gimmicky. And she also, through this book, makes references to things and then is like, oh, but that's for another book. No, just tell me the story in this book. Yeah, I found that a bit irritating. However, this was a very fun arc to get. Obviously, I appreciate Book Break sending it to me, and I'm sure I will find a very good home for this for someone who will love it. Okay, I now need to go and phone Arufa, because that's how exciting my life is, and then leave in a little bit to pick up the teenager, and then get on with some marking this afternoon. It's the 10th of April and I'm having such a chilled time. So when I spoke to you last, I was going to go and pick Charlie up. Obviously I went and picked him up. We went for brunch, which I think I put a tiny bit of B-roll in about. Sorry, I've got somewhere on my face is a cat hair, because that's my life. Yeah, we went and got brunch, and then he spent the rest of Monday gaming, because he's 14 and that's what they do. And I got on with my year 9 marking. Then yesterday he went to get his haircut. He looks so grown up every time he goes to have that done. He comes back and he's like aged another 5 years. It's bizarre. It really suits him though. And I was marking my bottom 7s. And then today, tomorrow and Friday, Gary's off, and at the weekend as well. He's taking a couple of days holiday, which is really nice. So today I'm going to go and see my mother-in-law for lunch and a catch up and a good old chat. And the boys are going to play badminton. So it's been a really nice chill few days. And I say chill because obviously I've been working. But it's been kind of, oh, bye stuff. She was insisting on being in here, and now she's going to want to try and get out. Hang on a second. Oh, all right. There you go then. There you go. Thank you. Oh, sorry about that. yeah, so sorry, there's still a hair somewhere on my face. Yeah, obviously I've been working, but it's been kind of nice to get some stuff done, and I'm now at the point of the holiday. I was saying to Gary yesterday, this is always the sweet spot of the holiday, which will only last probably until tomorrow, where I feel like I'm recharging and resting and relaxing, and I'm also like looking forward to teaching again. I'm missing the kids, and like I said, that will only last probably till tomorrow. Then I'll start panicking about actually having to go back to work. But yeah, it's been a nice couple of days. Weather is rubbish. We've got Storm Kathleen. I think I mentioned that in the last episode, which is why I've got my jumper on. Also, I've mentioned this before, my mother-in-law made me this jumper, and so I try and wear it as much as possible when I see her, like when it's obviously cool enough to wear it. And also I just love the colour of it, and I love that she made it for me and all of that stuff. So yeah, I have, since I spoke to you last, finished 2 books. I've had one more book arrive, and I've got another one on its way. And some lovely person has sent me something from my wish list. So, oh, and I did my usual like payday treats, and I bought something that I thought would make you guys laugh. So I'll show you that in a second. Let's talk about books first. The first book that I finished since I spoke to you last was Agatha Christie's Sinister Spring. This is part of the seasonal quartet. This is the last one that I needed to read. I've now completed that quartet, and they are short stories that are set in spring, written by Agatha Christie. I think this might be my favourite edition in terms of the aesthetics, and also, if you haven't seen this yet, look at these end pages. Like, I want this as wallpaper, but I love it. Yeah, I gave this 4 stars. I haven't got loads to say about it. It's you know, I think it's like 12 or so short stories. You've got Miss Marple, Tuppence, and the other one I can't remember what its name is, and Poirot, and then a couple of other like just random short stories with different is it Tommy and Tuppence? I feel like it is, with other detectives. And I'd read almost all of these stories before, which is fine because I really read quite a lot of Agatha Christie, but I still enjoyed it. And yeah, gave it 4 stars. These are really beautiful. I feel like if you've got someone in your life who's a big reader, these are great gifts because they're just so pretty. And they're really lovely collections. So yeah, that was book 50 for the year. So that's not bad going. And yeah, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read an audiobook, so I'll put a picture up here if I remember when I'm editing. So I read Just Like Mother by Anne Hetzel, and it was narrated by Regina Regan. I gave this 3.5 stars. I can't remember who I saw talking about it. I feel like it was Brie from 4 Paws in a Book. I feel like it was. But whoever it was, I paused their wrap up, or the video where they were talking about it, went straight to Everand and downloaded it. It's this weird, creepy literary fiction horror, and we start off with following a character whose name I can't remember because it was an audiobook. I can't even look it up, who escaped a cult when she's 8 years old. When she was 8, she escaped a cult. She was put with foster parents, eventually adopted, and then we're following her like nearly 20 years later, and her life is, she's kind of, you know, she's not got a great job. She's struggling to make money as a journalist. She lives in a studio apartment in New York. She's not got, you know, any significant amount of friends or family around her. She's got no partner, all of that kind of stuff. And then the cousin, who was also in the cult with her, kind of turns back up in her life, and it's about what happens. And yeah, I really loved the first sort of 100 or so pages of this. The first few hours of the audiobook, I was gripped. And I think it did help as well that I was listening to it driving back. Was I listening to it on the way there? No, I was listening to one of the Helen Fields one, but I was listening to it on the way back from seeing Charlotte, so I had a good like solid like 3-4 hours in the car to listen to it. And the first bit I was really gripped. It was really atmospheric. You're getting some chapters from when she was a child and in this cult, and obviously because it's from a child's perspective, she's kind of seeing things but not really understanding what they mean, and you as an adult reader are like, that's not okay, what is that? So it was really tense and creepy. Her kind of life in the present day is fairly mundane, but it's very much about PTSD and dealing with the aftermath of a trauma. And then her cousin re-enters the picture, and it's this weird mix of like, she's so happy to have her cousin back in her life, but from the very start I was like, something is wrong here. And that's all I'm going to tell you about the synopsis. A lot happens. It goes completely from like 0 to 100 in terms of absolutely crazy. Big themes are motherhood, pregnancy. There's also content warnings for sexual assault and rape. Obviously being in a cult, there are some quite vivid descriptions of wounds. Also infant death and child death is featured in this as well. Obviously trauma. So it's really dark and really creepy. Like I said, I gave it 3.5. I really thought like in that first section that I read that it was going to be a 5-star because it was so tense and creepy. And her cousin has this big old mansion that she is renovating with her husband. And there's some really creepy bits in that. And I was like, great, this is going to be so like, I can kind of see where it's going. And it did go where I thought it was going to go. But it just sort of lost its way in the kind of the middle bit. I feel like it was probably 100 pages too long. If it had been shorter and snappier and we'd taken out some of the kind of the character going through a few things, then it probably would have had more of an impact. By the time we got to the end and the final kind of, because there's twists all over the place, but that final twist I was a bit like, yeah, that tracks. And that was kind of it for me. So yeah, 3.5 stars. Did enjoy it. It was creepy. I would look for other stuff from the author, but I think it should have been shorter. So those are the 2 books that I finished. I then, like I said, did my usual, like bought a few bits on payday. And one of the things that I bought, I was like, I am nearly 37 years old, but I feel like this would bring me so much joy, was something that I saw on Chloe's channel. I'm just trying to get it into shape. You'll see what I mean in a minute. And she did an unboxing of a stationery box that she'd ordered, and it was like a mystery box, I think. I'll put that video in the description because it was so cute and fun. And one of the things that she got in that box was this. And when I saw it, I was like, I need that. So I immediately went into Amazon, put it into my basket because I tend to put stuff in my basket over the month. And then on payday, I go through and inevitably like take out loads of stuff that I no longer want. But this one survived the culls, and it arrived the other day and it just made me laugh. And it's this pencil case. And it's a bubble tea pencil case, and it can be either be like folded down, because you can probably use it for like makeup and stuff, or you can extend it. I was like, I need that. I did actually need a new pencil case for work because my other one was properly falling apart. I'm not sure I can actually get everything in here that I need, but it'll be cute and it'll be fun on my desk, and the kids will also love it. So yeah, I bought myself that. I'll link this one in the description as well in case you're interested. But yeah, Chloe fully influenced me. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I need that. And it's just so cute and fun, and like, you know, I just like that you can do that. I don't know, I'm a simple soul. Then Return of the King arrived, which is part 3 of Lord of the Rings from Waterstones. To be honest, it's not on the best condition. It's been a bit bashed. However, I will let them off because these editions that I've been reading the series from, they're not very hardy. They're not very tough. And the 2 books that I read are pretty mangled after reading them. So this one will probably end up in the same state. So we'll allow it this time. I'm still waiting on The Two Towers, which is the next book that I need to read. So this one will be on my TBR shelf for a little while before I get to it. But I do love these editions. And this green is beautiful. And hopefully, Two Towers will arrive probably tomorrow. And then I can start reading it. And then, yeah, like I said, some lovely person has sent me this. Which is just really kind. And like I say every time, hopefully, that I have parcels from you guys, I really appreciate it. It is not required at all, but I really appreciate it every time it does happen. So let's open this together. I do have a suspicion as to what this is, because there aren't many things on my TBR that are this big. In fact, there's only one thing, but I might be wrong. This parcel does not want to be opened. Hang on, let's try that again. Right. Okay, clearly today is not the day for opening parcels smoothly. Okay, we're open, we're in. Where's the... Oh, it's from Melinda. She said, hello, you are one busy lady. When it gets too much, make some time for you and read this. I love this series and you need to catch up, smiley face. Thanks for your vlogs. They're the best, Melinda. Thank you so much. That's really kind. I think I know what you've bought me because, like I said, there's only really one thing on my wish list that was this size, and this is incredibly generous. Yeah, it is. Look at this. So this is volume 3 of Lore Olympus. If you saw my... Gosh, this is heavy. If you saw my March wrap-up, I was very kindly gifted volume 2 by Vicky, and it's on my TBR for this month. I've sort of been saving it for like when I'm in an optimum mood to read it, but I will read it this month. And this is obviously the next volume. I'm not even going to look at the back because I don't want to be spoiled. It's just so beautiful. Look at that. And I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Melinda. This is just ridiculously kind of you. You're right, I do need to catch up because the series is years old. As usual, I am late on the hype train. But yeah, volume 2 is on my TBR for this month. And I'm going to try and keep this volume for next month. So I've got it to look forward to. But thank you so much. That was really, really kind of you. You honestly don't need to send me stuff at all, but thank you so much. So I am now going to go and do fun grown-up things like clear out my car, because it's a pit. It always is a pit by the end of term, because I am guilty of like eating in my car all the time on the way to and from work. I'm usually eating my lunch on the drive home at about 6 o'clock. Must do better with that. And so by the time I get to the end of term, it is a bit of a pit. So I need to empty out today, and I'm going to go and get it valeted. And then, like I said, I'm going to go and see the mother-in-law, and then tomorrow, not quite sure yet, we haven't got anything planned with Charlie. My engagement and wedding rings are overdue for a clean and a service, but to do that I have to go into like the centre of Bristol, which is a bit of a pain from where I live, but I might just do that tomorrow, get that done, and also like take the opportunity to have a little wander. And then Friday the boys are going clay pigeon shooting, which Charlie loves. I am terrible at, so we no longer waste money on me doing it, but the boys are going to go do that. We also need to sort the garden out on Friday because it desperately needs a spring overhaul, by which I mean I will go through, pull out all the plants that are now dead because we forgot to look after them. Gary will cut the grass, and Charlie will use the, what's it called, the water jet, there's a word for it, to like clean off all the slabs in the patio and stuff. So we're going to do that on Friday in the hope that maybe the weather will get better and soon I can get the hammock out. If you've not been here before, I'm obsessed with my hammock, and I'm so excited for it to come out, but at the moment it's really not the weather for it today. But yeah, Friday we're going to sort the garden out, and I also need to finish off the last bit of marking. I've got my top set 7s to mark, so I need to get that done. And then Saturday we're going for lunch with my family, and then Sunday we did Toad in the Hole and probably panic about going back to work. But we have a few more days before we get there. For now I am off to go and sort all of this lovely stuff out, and then go and see the mother-in-law. It's the 14th of April, and as you can see, I'm filming with a special guest. Molly decided that she was going to hang around as I was setting up to film, and as you can see, she's super interested in what I've got to say. And tomorrow I have to go back to work, so I'm feeling quite anxious today. I do feel like I've had a really, really good half term or Easter holiday. Oh, hi, are you? There we go. Hi. She's so cute. Hopefully you guys can kind of see how little she is. She's literally kitten-sized, even though she's about 2 years old. So she is full grown, and she's absolutely teeny tiny, but she has a huge attitude. So yeah, what she makes up for in size, what she lacks in size, she makes up for with her attitude. Yeah, so I've had a really good half term Easter holiday, and I do feel rested, and I feel very lucky to have had this time off. I am aware of how lucky I am to have so much time off, but I'm also never film with animals or children. But yeah, I'm also really anxious going into this term. We have got 13 teaching weeks left of the school year before the big summer holiday in July and August, end of July and August. but I'm just hoping that I can manage it a bit better now. Like year 11 will be gone by the end of this term because they'll be sitting their exams and then off they go. And we've got a new timetable. My new timetable I think is better than the old one, but I won't know until we do it. So yeah, there's just lots of thoughts swirling around my head. So last couple of days, what have we been up to since I spoke to you? This is really helpful background noise, Mel, thanks. I'm sorry if you can hear her slurping as she's cleaning herself. Yeah, last couple of days, I can't even think when I last updated you, to be honest. Yesterday we went for a really lovely family lunch down near Stonehenge, and we took Grandma Joyce and we met my mum over there. And my brother couldn't make it in the end, which is a real shame, but my mum came and we had a really nice meal. What else have we done this week? I've been marking quite a bit. I went and had lunch with my mother-in-law. Was that maybe the last time I spoke to you? I really should start watching clips back before I film new ones. The boys have been to play badminton, and they've also done, Charlie's gone and done some clay pigeon shooting, which he had a Christmas voucher for. And yeah, we've just been hanging out and getting a few bits done. We tied up the garden on Friday, I think. And then yeah, I've just been marking and also reading because I finished 4 whole books yesterday. So let's talk about those. I've got hiccups as well. I have also got my trusty blue book because I finished these books yesterday in kind of a whirl, and I just need to remind myself of what ratings I've given them. So the first one, how can I put this so I can see it easily? Let's put it down here. The first one that I finished yesterday was Lore Olympus, Volume 2 by Rachel Smythe. This was very kindly gifted to me by Vicky last month. I have stuck, has it got her name on it? No, it does, but like not a surname. I've stuck the gift note in with this really beautiful washi tape that I bought recently, which I'm obsessed with. I really thoroughly enjoyed this, as I knew I would. I've given this volume 4.5 stars, and I think it's just because of the miscommunication that's happening, and I know that's part of the Hades and Persephone story, but I'm just finding it a little bit irritating, some of the miscommunication that's going on. I do, however, love both of these characters, and I'm really excited to pick up volume 3. I'm going to save it till next month. But I am excited to pick that up and continue on with the story. In case you don't know what this is a Greek myth, Hades and Persephone, kind of retelling, resetting the Greek gods into a modern, kind of feels like Manhattan setting. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one. At the moment, Hera, Zeus's wife, I'm not sure who said, is my favourite character, which is a plot twist because in the traditional Greek myths, she is not my favourite character. But I'm really liking her in this version so far. Obviously that could change. So yeah, that was a 4.5. I then finished my buddy read with Chloe, which was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is a World War II fiction set in France. I would say it's literary fiction. And we're following 2 sisters, Vianne and Isabel. Isabel's 19 when the war breaks out, and Vianne, I think, is like 6 or 7 years older than her. Their mother died when they were children. Their father, after the death of their mother, and as a result of his being part of World War I, was kind of left as a shell of a man and an alcoholic. Isabel is the wild child of the family. She has been thrown out of various boarding schools, etc., since she was a kid. Vianne is the kind of sensible, kind of grown-up big sister who is married and has a child, and we see the different paths these 2 women take as the war sweeps through France, and particularly when the Nazis occupy France. And yeah, I don't know if I could say I enjoyed this. I appreciated how beautifully it's written. Kristen Hanna is a beautiful writer. I gave this 4.5, and I think a lot of people, lots and lots of you have recommended this to me, which is why I picked up in the first place, also because it's got such a beautiful spine. I bought this second hand, and the spine is what caught my eye on the shelf. And loads of you recommended this to me. I think especially after I read Chocolat by Joanne Harris and really enjoyed that, loads of you recommended me this. I can see why, and not just because the main character has the same name. I really liked the way it looked at the different ways to be in a war as a woman, because I don't want to give spoilers, but the 2 characters go on very separate journeys, so to speak, during the war, and I really liked how that was dealt with. I liked seeing how gradual the kind of danger was mounting up. So, you know, the Nazis occupy France, but they leave a free zone for a while, and life does become immediately more difficult and more dangerous, but the danger kind of gradually increases. So I loved how that was done. I loved how it looked at all the different ways that war can touch people. Vianne's best friend Rachel is Jewish, and so you kind of know from the start where that's going to go. I didn't love the first 2/3 of this book, and Chloe and I were reading it together, and I'm really glad we read it together. One, because I feel like we were both really intimidated by this book. This would have sat on my shelf, I know for sure, for ages. Chloe said the same would be true of her. So I'm glad we read it together and kind of made each other read it. And I didn't love it. We were reading about 60 pages a day, and the first 3 days I was like, this is fine, but it feels like it's going to be a 3-star. This was a book and I read it kind of thing, because it wasn't really doing anything special, anything I hadn't read before. And then yesterday I got to where I was supposed to stop for the day, and I just texted Chloe, I was like, I'm going to have to finish this, because I was so gripped and I was so emotional by the end that I was fully sobbing, like crying as if someone I knew had died. And if a book can pull emotion out of me like that, then it immediately gets a much higher rating. I think up until that point I was on like a 3.5, 4, because the writing's really beautiful, it is interesting, and it is so important to tell women's stories like this. And I was kind of appreciating it but not loving it. And then the ending happened, and because of the ending, I wanted to give it 5 stars, but I also couldn't kind of overlook the fact that the first sort of 2/3 of the book I hadn't felt that connected. So yeah, I gave this 4.5 stars. I would recommend it. Please check content warnings, because there is a lot of dark stuff going on in this book. Do I need to read this again? No, so you'll probably see this in an unhaul once my mother-in-law has read it. Do I need to read another Kristen Hannah? I'm not sure. I'm not feeling the pull to read anything else by her, but I am glad I read this one. So yeah, and massive, obviously, thank you to Chloe for reading it with me. Then I also finished yesterday. Yesterday was such a good day for finishing books, especially big books, because this next book is a big one, and that is Henry VIII, The Heart and the Crown by Alison Weir. This is book 2 in the Tudor Rose series. It kind of runs alongside the 6 Tudor Queens series that she did that I loved. I gave this 4 stars. This is the story of Henry VIII from his perspective. So if you've read the 6 Tudor Queens stories, this is kind of like a companion novel, and I would recommend it. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. I didn't love it. I didn't love it anywhere near as much as I loved the 6 Tudor Queens series. And I think it's because we're in third person. It kind of felt a bit removed from Henry. I didn't really get that emotional connection. I enjoyed seeing things from his perspective, and Alison Weir has really cleverly explained some of the things that we already know about Henry VIII. In case you are not from the UK and you don't know who I'm talking about, Henry VIII was an English monarch in the 1500s, and he had 6 wives, and he was the father of Elizabeth I. And this is kind of his story, and I really liked how she explained a lot of the things that you think of when you think of Henry VIII, and how kind of nuanced she made him. And I did really enjoy that. And this goes from when he's a boy of about 6 or 7 and his mother dies, all the way up until his own death. And yeah, I enjoyed this. It's really well written, as always. Alison Weir is a gorgeous writer. I just felt a little bit emotionally removed from it, and it was also a lot of kind of political manoeuvrings of the time, and I was a bit like, I don't really care about that stuff, but obviously as king it would be important to him. So yeah, I gave that 4 star. I'm really glad I read it. The next book out is the Mary the First, I think, to finish off this trilogy, but it won't be out in paperback till next year, and I've got all the others in paperback, so I will have to wait for that one. But yeah, I'm really glad I read this, and that was a 4 star. And then I finished yesterday on a little bit of a downer, because I read my first reread for the month, and it's gone from 5 stars when I read it in 2020 to a 3.5, which is quite drastic. This is part of my 24 books to read in 2024, and I'll link that video in the description if you haven't seen it and you fancy seeing it. But I feel like when I come to do the stats at the end of the year, this might be like the biggest drop. But I guess we will see. It's only April. And that book was The Alibi Girl by CJ Skews. And yeah, I did not expect to be kind of ambivalent towards this book second time round. When I read this in 2020, I was so obsessed with it that I sent Charlotte a copy, and I was like, please, like, drop what you're reading and read this now. And she also loved it. And it's marketed as a thriller, and I would argue it's not a thriller. I would say it's a mystery, and it's kind of difficult to categorize this story. So we are following Joanne, and we are told at the very beginning that Joanne is not her name. Everything about her is fake. And for some reason she is hiding, and she is using alibis. She's using fake names. Her hair's fake, her eye colour's fake, everything about her is fake. And I kind of can't tell you any more than that. And yeah, I didn't love it. I'd forgotten a lot of it, which I think tells you quite a bit. Partway through we get a perspective change, and I didn't really like that. I wanted to stay in the perspective that we were in the first part of the story. I did kind of find it interesting seeing all of her different alibis and different personas, and then as you read further into the book, again without giving spoilers, you kind of realise why she is using those alibis and those names and personas and stuff as she's moving through the world. But yeah, this didn't work for me second time round, and you will probably see it in an unhaul shortly, and that is a real shocker. So yeah, those are the books that I read since I spoke to you last. I have read so far this month 13 books, which is amazing. Obviously I'm now going back to school, so my reading is about to fall off a cliff, but it turns out that actually what I need in order to have good mental health is 6 hours a day of reading without being interrupted, so that's not going to happen. The rest of today, as you can see, we've been cleaning this morning. I'm in full thumb mode. I quite often get questions from you guys about these headbands that I wear, so I bought them during the pandemic, but if I can find a link to something similar, I'll put that in the description for you guys as well, because they are really good and just keep my hair out of my face whilst I'm busy. So yeah, we've been doing a deep clean of the house this morning, which feels good to get it done. I obviously woke up quite anxious because it's back to work tomorrow, so might as well channel that energy somewhere positive. I've also done Toad in the Hole for lunch, and now I'm going to edit this clip like a good girl, because I'm not going to get to the end of the month and have to edit the whole vlog, because that's not fun for anybody. Then I'm going to do skincare and my nails. Then I'm going to have a bath, and then put my favourite pyjamas on, curl up and read, and try and trick myself into not having the Sunday scaries, because tomorrow we go back to normal. The 20th of April, if I can spit my words out, and I'll be honest with you, I don't feel like filming today. I really don't, and I hate it when creators whinge about not wanting to film and not feeling creative, but I feel like this is a vlog, so it's kind of okay. Like, this is a place for it, and I'm always probably too honest with you guys in these vlogs, and I'm not feeling it today, but I have to. So yes, first week back to school was the usual blur. It was a good week. We've had a new timetable change. I can't remember if I explained this in a previous clip, but we've had to have a timetable change, and that always makes me anxious because I don't know what the rhythm of the week's going to be, and that probably sounds weird, but once you've done a timetable once or twice, you can kind of work out where the challenging lessons are going to be and all that kind of stuff. So it feels very much unknown, even though I've kept all of my classes that I had in the previous timetable. I've also dropped drama, which is amazing. So yeah, it was a little bit unknown this week, but it went fine. I had a good week, no disasters. It's just exhausting, isn't it, as I keep saying? And yeah, there are changes on the horizon, which I mentioned at the end of my March vlog, and I can't talk about it yet, and I won't be able to talk about it until the summer, partly because things move. If you work in a school, you will know how slowly like the cogs turn, so it may not even be confirmed until the summer. If you can hear that beautiful noise of the motorbike, that's Gary off on a bike ride, and I really want to go with him. I can't today, I need to do this. Yeah, so you'll know how slow the cogs turn, and also there's basically two possible options for me for next year, and option A is obviously the one that I want, and I've made my feelings known on it and very clear about it. But even if I don't get that, there is option B, which will, honestly, such a good noise. I'm hoping the camera's picked that up. There's also option B, which isn't quite option A, obviously that's why it's option B, but it would still make life kind of better and easier for me. So I'm kind of excited for that, and I don't want to like wish the time away, but I'm a little bit already kind of over the school year, to be honest. But yes, the week was fine. It's just a blur. I've not read anything. I've got 2 books to talk to you about, but they're 2 books that one of my friends at work gave me. I haven't finished anything. This weekend we don't have Charlie. I'm filming this morning. I'm going to film, what am I filming? The quarter year book tag. These videos will have come up before this one. I also need to film my Anna Louisa. Hello. I'm working with Anna Louisa again. That was Sav, who's now decided she's not coming in near me. I'm working with Anna Louisa again for a sponsored video. which will be a read with me. So I'm going to film those today, and I know I'm whinging about it, but I know, like, I will enjoy it once I get into it. I'm just really tired, and all I kind of want to do is lay on the sofa and not talk to anyone today, which is probably why I'm doing a read with me. One, I know you guys enjoy them, and people seem to watch them a lot, and two, it's easy content for me to make, and it's what I feel like doing today is reading, so might as well get a video out of it. So that's what's going on. I'll show you the Anna Louisa bits as well, because that video will come up before this one. They were very, very kind, and they sent me 3 pieces this time. I'll also put my discount code in the description if you're interested. I don't work with any companies that I don't really like and believe in. I get approached for stuff all the time. I was recently a bit approached by a bra company who want to work with me, and like the company looks legit. I get a lot of spam obviously in my What Victoria Read email inbox. This one looks like a legit company, but I have literally no idea how I would work that into a video. The bras look really comfortable and really good, but it's just like, I'm not sure how they found my content and thought that that was the product for me to advertise with them. So that's quite funny. It does make me laugh every time I get an email from a dog food company, and I'm like, literally cats are in my banner in the first 5 seconds of every video because they're in the logo, and it's just like, okay. Yeah, so I do get approached by companies sometimes that I say no to, and also publishers with certain books, and I'm just like, that's just not the book for my channel. So I only ever work with companies and publishers and authors that I really, really like. And I really like working with Anna Louisa. I really like their message. I really like that they are carbon neutral, and that they have like all of their materials are reusable, and it's all plastic free and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, this time they've sent me, I'm clearly going up in the world because they sent me 3 items this time. I have worked with them twice before, or 3 times before. They sent me these beautiful, these are the Jessica earrings, which match the necklace that I genuinely just happened to put on this morning. I love this necklace, so I'm really excited to wear these together. So they sent me those. They also sent me another pair of earrings. This is the, oh, these are upside down. This is the Elise Silver, which is beautiful little hoops. They sent me, you've probably seen them in other videos, they sent me a beautiful pair of silver hoops with little pearls that come off it. And they've just become like my everyday earrings. I love them. So I'm excited for these, which have got these little like diamante studs on them, so that's very exciting. And then this necklace is so beautiful, and it's called Ocean, I think, yeah, and it is such mermaid vibes, that necklace. Gold necklace with these 3 beautiful little charms on. So we've got the pearl, the shell, and then this little green charm on it. And yeah, I opened those up last night, they were here when I got home from work, and I was like, that's a very exciting parcel to come home to. So yeah, I'm gonna film that video. And then tomorrow, I'm seeing Steph tomorrow. She won't be on camera, she never is, that's fine. And she lives, like, I always say up north, she doesn't live up north. She lives, I don't want to like say or if I said, I think I said before, she lives in Shrewsbury, anyway. And I live near Bath and Bristol, and she's going down to the south coast today to see her dad. And then tomorrow, her and her boyfriend's going with her. They went on their way back up tomorrow. They're going to stop in Bath. So we're going to have lunch tomorrow at Tettle Bay, which I'm very excited about. Gary's coming as well, so that'll be really fun. And then it'll be time to go back to work and do it all again next week. So yeah, I've just, I'm already tired. Felt really rested after 2 weeks off, and about 2 days in I was like, yeah, I'm exhausted again, but that is the nature of the job at the moment. But I did have a good week. I feel like I've just whinged for like 6 minutes, so I do apologise. I do have 2 books though, because my lovely friend at work did some reading over the Easter holidays and wanted to pass these on to me. So she's given me How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. The only book I've read by Matt Haig is The Comfort Book, which was like 2 years ago, I think. And I don't know anything about this except it's a romance, and I think it makes people cry. So I'm a little bit scared, I can't lie. But yeah, it's a historical fiction, and he's like, he lives forever. It just says, how many lifetimes does it take to learn how to live? So yeah, I feel this is going to make me cry. It probably is, isn't it? But yeah, she lent me that. And then she also lent me A Haunting on the Hill by Elizabeth Hand, which returns to the world of Shirley Jackson. Look at this cover for a start. Like, I'm obsessed. And this was authorised by Shirley Jackson's estate, I think. It says, discover the landmark first novel to return to Hill House, officially authorised by the Pearly Jackson estate. And I don't really want to read loads of the blurb. I'm just going to read the bottom bit. It says, For something has been waiting patiently in Hill House all these years, something no longer content to walk alone. So I think this will be perfect for like September, October time, if I'm allowed to borrow it until then. I actually didn't check if she wants it back. I should do that. So yeah, I've picked up 2 books this week, added 2 books to the TBR. Haven't finished anything. I definitely will today. So there may well be another clip tomorrow, possibly, if I can be bothered to sit in front of the camera. If I finish something, I will come and chat to you about it. I'm just not feeling very creative at the moment, and I feel like my filming mojo is a bit missing. But I also feel like it's one of those things that the more you do, the more you want to do it. So I'm going to stop chatting to you, get into sit-down video mode, and film the quarter year book tag crisis thing. And it's Wednesday, the 24th of April. And did I update you on Sunday? No, I didn't. We went out with Steph and John to beautiful Bath on Sunday and met up at Turtle Bay and just had a bit of a chat and stuff. I've just finished teaching for the day. It's about 6:30. I've just got home. So I've got slightly mad hair and everything is just a little bit dishevelled, so I do apologise. But yeah, we had a really nice time seeing them. We went to Turtle Bay, like I said. I went for the roast because I was really intrigued. 1, I love a roast that I don't have to cook. And 2, I was really intrigued as to how Turtle Bay would do it. If you don't know, Turtle Bay is a Jamaican food chain, or a Caribbean food chain here in the UK, which I love. And it was just a bit mediocre. It was also really expensive for what it was. So I'm glad I had it because I'd been wondering about it. But it was very much just like a 3 out of 5 stars. It was a meal and I ate it, to paraphrase Mifa from Pretty Purple Polka Dots. So yeah, that was a bit annoying, but we had a lovely time with Steph and John, and it was really nice to see her. So I'm shifting because my legs are really sore after a day of teaching. So yeah, that was Sunday, and then I just didn't feel like being on camera, so I didn't film. And it's now Wednesday, and I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books to talk to you about, and some lovely person sent me something from my wish list. So we're going to go through these. And like I said, I apologise in advance if I don't make much sense. I've been teaching all day and teenagers be teenagering quite hard at the moment. So yeah. So the first book that I finished was a 5-star read, which is a nice treat. This was I Wish You All the Best by Mason Diva. This was very kindly sent to me by Book Break last year in a kind of like bundle of books that they sent me. I went into this with no expectations whatsoever. I wasn't even completely sure it was one that was really for me. And I gave it 5 stars. So it was, we love a surprise 5-star around here. This is basically Heartstopper if Charlie was non-binary and it was written as a novel rather than a graphic novel. We're following Ben, who is a non-binary teenager in America, and they come out to their parents one night and their parents react really badly and throw them out of the house. And Ben is left literally barefoot in the snow with nothing, and they manage to make their way to a phone box where they call their sister, who they haven't seen for a decade because she's been estranged from her parents and from the family, and they call her for help, and it's about how their life kind of gets put back together, and they also meet Nathan, who is this character here, and it's this like beautiful queer friendship that becomes a love story. And I really liked the representation. So Mason Diva is non-binary themselves, and I liked kind of the insight into what being non-binary can be like, and the constant constantly having to come out to people and all of that kind of stuff. So I really liked how that was dealt with. I also really liked how the kind of family trauma was dealt with. Ben kind of fairly quickly starts going to therapy. I love that representation, and I really like the friendship and then the love story that kind of grows between Ben and Nathan. And yeah, I just thought the whole thing was beautifully done. It did make me cry at the end. I think, is it like the best thing I've ever read? No, but I'm not the target audience. And it's one of those books where I gave it 5 stars because it's gorgeously written. Every time I was reading it, I was enjoying it. I really liked all the rep. I liked how the story kind of unfolded. And it's actually, there's another book that's like a little novella that's set at Christmas that I really want to read with some of these characters. So I really liked all of that. I really liked the emotion that it brought out of me at the end. And I also just love that this book exists in the world. This is going to be, you'll see this fairly soon, I think, in an unhaul, not because I didn't love it, but because it's like one of the best examples for ages I've had of, this is a book I loved, but it needs to be in the hands of other people, because I'm going to be putting this straight into my classroom library and suggesting to our librarian that we get some copies for school, because I know a lot of kids who would get a lot out of seeing this kind of representation. So yeah, that was a 5-star read. Absolutely adored it. I then also did my second, I know you said body read, reread of the month, which was The Sin Eater by Megan Campese. I first read this back in 2020, gave it 4 stars. I've given it 4 stars second time round. We are in this, it's kind of like a speculative fiction, alternative history story, because it's very much feels like Tudor London or Elizabethan London, but the names are all slightly different and it's all slightly out of kilter, which I really like. And we are following May, who at the very beginning of the story steals a loaf of bread, and for her punishment she is made into a sin eater. So her tongue is branded, she has to wear this metal collar around her throat, and she is no longer allowed to speak to people. People are not allowed to speak to her or look at her. The only time they are allowed to see her is when they are dying, because as the sin eater she gets called to the bedside of the dying. They confess their sins. For each sin there is a certain food that has to be eaten. She then eats the food once that person's died, and she carries their sins, and they then go to heaven sin free. And we follow her, and we follow her experience as sin eater, and then we're also following, there's also kind of a murder mystery element to this, which I don't want to get too much into because I don't want to give spoilers. So yeah, this was still a very solid 4-star read second time round. There are lots of graphic scenes in this. There's also a scene of animal torture, so just be aware of that. And if you are someone who is easily nauseated, you might want to give this a miss, because some of the sensory stuff when she's eating was making me like squirm a little bit as I was reading, which is no bad thing, but just be aware of that picking it up. It's got a beautiful cover. This was the first ever book that was sent to me by a publisher. This was also sent to me by Book Break, and it's so pretty. And yeah, I've really thoroughly enjoyed rereading it and would highly recommend it, and I definitely want to read more from Megan Campese. So that was a 4-star. I then had a DNF. So in the bundle of books that had I Wish You All the Best and a couple of others in it was Disorientation by Elaine Hsieh Chu. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, the author's name is just there. And I got 50 pages into this and I was like, this is just not for me. This is just not a book that I want to read. We're following Ingrid, who is completing her PhD, and that's kind of as far as I got. I was just like, I'm bored. I don't really care what she's doing or why. I feel like it's that style of millennial fiction that just isn't for me, but I can see why other people like this. And yeah, I was just bored, and I've got too many books to be reading, books that are not interesting me, so I decided to DNF that one. And then today I finished an audiobook, so editing Victoria, please put a picture here. And that I finished my reread of the Luke Cadillac series. I finished One for Sorrow by Helen Fields, which was narrated by Robin Lane. If you are going to pick these books up, I highly recommend the audiobooks. They're amazing. They're all read by Robin. He's incredible and definitely adds to the reading experience. This book is, like I said, is the final book in the Luke Cadillac Perfect series by Helen Fields. I think it's book 7, and I read this last year. It made my top books of the year. It's still a 5-star. It's absolutely perfect. In the Luke Cadillac series, we are following the murder major investigations team, like the murder squad, in Edinburgh. We're following Luke Cadillac and Ava can't remember what her surname is now. And in each, they have a different case in each book. And in this one, there are a series of bombs going off, let's put it that way. And what I love about this is you have the two stories running in parallel. So you have Luke and Ava, who are trying to work out who is at the bottom of these bombings, and they are not just straightforward bombings, they're kind of really elaborately staged bombings. So you have them kind of running parallel, you know, trying to work out who this bomber is and what their motivation is. And you also have this story of this girl Quinn, and each Quinn chapter has the title of Before, and she is living her life, living at home with her parents. Her mum's just had a baby. Quinn's like 19, but her parents have had kind of a late surprise baby. Everyone's really excited and happy with that. Quinn is working in a supermarket, and she meets a man called Liam one day, and it's kind of tracking their relationship, which starts out really well, and then it becomes more and more negative, and we get into coercive control and eventually stalking, and then some sexual assault and some rape as well, which is a content warning for this story. And you're kind of reading these two stories side by side, and it's like, I'm not quite sure, I don't understand how they're going to intersect. And watching that all play out the second time round was even better, I think, than the first time. The first time there were so many twists and turns where I was literally gasping out loud when reading it, and the second time I obviously knew what those twists were, and it felt even more clever, even cleverer, because I could spot all the clues that had been left. It's just such great writing, and it was an easy 5-star for me, definitely. I didn't have the emotional response this time that I did, but I think that's normal when it's a reread. So yeah, 5-star, highly recommend. Please check content warnings for that series though, because it is very, very graphic, very, very dark. But if you can manage the content warnings, it's honestly one of the best police procedurals I've ever read. So highly recommend that one. And then I've had a book come in. So again, excuse me, wait, hiccups. Book break again. Sent me a beautiful book. This is Can't Spell Treason Without T by Rebecca Thorne. I am so excited about this book. I saw a call out that they did asking if people wanted to be on the book tour, on the blog tour for it, and I was like, please. So I applied, never thought I'd get it, and then got an email to say, fantastic, this is the date. So actually the next video that you see after this one, if you're watching these in order, will be my stop on the blog tour, and I'm really, really, really excited about it. And this, honestly, this book, I'll read you the synopsis, but this sounds like a bit of me, right? So I don't know if I'm getting names correct right now, but we'll work on that for when I've read the book. So it says, palace politics just weren't their cup of tea. Royal bodyguard Rhaena and elemental mage Chianthe dream of leaving their dangerous lives behind. They could open a bookshop instead, serving the very finest tea and cakes. They imagine worn wooden floors, plants on every table, firelight drifting between the rafters, all complemented by love, tea and good company. So after risking too much, one too many times, the pair decide to run away and make their dreams a reality. In the town of Tawny, nestled in the icy peaks of Dragon Country, they set up shop, but trouble is brewing ahead. Rhaena and Chianthe must face mishaps, mysteries, dragons, and a murderous queen throwing the realm's biggest temper tantrum. Together, these two women will discover just what they mean to each other and their world. A heartwarming journey brimming with peril, magic, and a love of tea. Give this to me. I'm so excited. This is in my hands. I love this cover. And let me just show you. So that's all the tour stuff. Look at these end pages. Look at that. And look at the spine. Like, it's so pretty. And yeah, this is apparently for fans of Bookshops and Bone Dust. That's me. And TJ Klune. And I enjoyed the TJ Klune that I read. So very, very excited about that. Really chuffed to have been sent this, so thank you so much to Pan Macmillan and Tor. And yeah, I'm having to hold myself back from reading it immediately, I can't lie. And then I come home today and some gorgeous person has sent me a parcel. So whoever this was, oh, this doesn't want to open. Thank you so very much. As usual, I feel like, have I done the disclaimer in this video? I don't know, I apologise if I'm repeating myself, but you don't have to. I very much appreciate it when it does happen, but you really, really don't have to. Okay, let's see what this is, and then I'm going to go and collapse on the sofa and eat dinner with the husband and then go to bed, because it's been a long day. That's the receipt. Oh, it's from Laura. She's just so lovely. That's a really lovely gift note, and she's just one of the best, is Laura, as we know. What did she pick? What is that? Oh, yes, it's upside down, that's why. So this is The Death of Vivek OG by Kweki Emeze, which is one that I've had my eye on for ages. Having really loved You Make a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, I just want to read everything else that they've written. And I think this is one about a mother opens the door and her dead son's on the doorstep. Yeah. So they burned down the market on the day Vivek OG died. This is the story of an overprotective mother and a distant father, and the heart-wrenching tale of one family's struggle to understand their child, just as Vivek learns to recognise himself. Teeming with unforgettable characters whose lives have been shaped by Vivek's gentle and enigmatic spirit. The Death of Vivek OJ shares with us a Nigerian childhood that challenges expectations. And The Observer said it's a rich and timely interrogation of gender, family and identity. So yeah, this sounds amazing. I'm really excited for this. Thank you so much, Laura. It's really, really, really kind and lovely of you. Put the gift note in there. So that's so nice. So that's the book update. So I now need to go and do a tidy round, get ready for work in the morning, have some dinner, and then I'll probably be in bed by about 8:30. And that's nearly all of the books that I read in the month of April. It's now the start of May. As you can hear from my voice, I've got a cold. I'll tell you about that in May. But I've got 2 books to talk to you about and a really lovely gift to show you, and then stats, and then you can carry on with the rest of your day. Yeah, I'm just coming in to kind of finish wrapping up the wrap up. So the final book that I read in the month of April was Agatha Christie by Lucy Worsley. I think it's got a subtitle, but it's not on the cover. It just says Agatha Christie. Is it? Oh yeah, A Very Elusive Woman. And I absolutely love this. This was a non-fiction biography, obviously, about Agatha Christie. But it's also kind of a social commentary, because Agatha Christie was born in the Edwardian period and she died in the 60s. So she lived through so much history. And what I really loved was the way that Lucy Worsley wove the 2 things together, because this felt like both quite an intimate portrait of a real person, of one person, and a really fascinating social commentary. And I love those kind of things. And you've got another example here, which is A Curious History of Sex by Kate Lister, which is just slightly sticking out. I think my bookshelves are slightly overfull. Which is another one that I really loved, because it was a fascinating look at a particular topic in that book, but also social history. And this did the same thing. This was funny and it was heartwarming. It was sad in places. It's made me really excited to read more Agatha Christie books. And I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I thought this was brilliantly done. And it was really readable. And I think I went in with quite low expectations, because I've read one of Lucy Worsley's fiction books before and wasn't that impressed with the writing. But she's an historian by trade, so the quality of the research and the way she writes in this is just fantastic. And so yeah, I gave it 5 stars. Really, really enjoyed it. And also an excellent end to my reading month. I was then sent a book by Book Break, which is The Burial Plot by Elizabeth McNeil. And can we just look at this cover? This is the arc. I'm assuming that the finished copy will be something like it, but it goes all the way around. I love it when designs continue all the way around. And then look at the back. And this is just an arc copy. This comes out in June, so you'll see me read this in May. I and she wrote The Doll Factory, which was one of my favourite creepy gothic fiction books I've ever read. And I'm not going to read you the whole thing, but because you'll see me read it next month, but the end of it just says, the burial plot is a spellbinding gothic thriller about murder, manipulation, and a young woman trying to wrestle power from the hands of a dangerous man. And it just sounds so good, so I'm really excited for this. And like I said, I enjoyed Elizabeth McNeil's writing previously, so thank you very much to Book Break for sending that to me. And also I was then sent, just before we do stats, the most gorgeous gift from Chloe, and she sent me a really lovely gift note, which I'm going to keep private, because it also touches on something that she's not talked about yet. But she was just really lovely, and she just sent this through to me. And she sent me this, look, and I'm so excited to actually be filming this clip now because I can start eating this stuff. This is Joseph's Gourmet Popcorn Chef and Connoisseur, and look at that. We've got so many flavours of popcorn, I don't know where to start. So it includes mature cheddar cheese, peanut butter, I mean that would be gone in a flash, caramel and Belgian chocolate, milk chocolate popcorn bites, so I'm assuming that's like covered in milk chocolate, also toffee apple and cinnamon, that's a bit of me, and salted caramel. So this was a fantastic gift to receive, and a really lovely note, which I will be keeping. I'm going to put it inside one of the books that Chloe sent me. And yeah, you will see me scoffing on this if you watch my May vlog, which I'm about to start filming. So that was April. In terms of the month, obviously it was a really good month. I got to go on a couple of different adventures. Went and saw Charlotte, which was fantastic. Went away with husband, which was really lovely. Read a lot of books. And then it's been a busy couple of weeks back to work. We're now 3 weeks into term, with a little bit of May included. And yeah, it's been very busy. And I think I mentioned this at the end of the last vlog, but there are definite changes coming to my working situation, which I will talk more about in the summer. But that's all kind of being agreed and put in place kind of behind the scenes. So that's been good. And I'm excited to get into May and see what May brings. So yeah, let's do some stats, and then that will be the end of what I think is going to be a 2-hour vlog. Whoops. So in April, Trusty Blue Notebook is out. I read 17 books, which is a really good amount. I mentioned this on Instagram the other day. I'm kind of thinking that I might attempt to 31 and 31 in August. I kind of go back and forth between it's going to be too much pressure and take all the fun out of it, and I want to see how far I can get. So I might not declare that I'm doing a 31 and 31 and like do a TBR and make it official, but I might be quietly aiming for that in August. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, 17 books read in April, which is that's got to be the most I've read so far this year in a month. It's got to be. Oh no, January. I read 19 books in January. Anyway, it was 6,343 pages, which is 212 per day. So that's really good. My average star rating as well was quite high because it was a 4.08 was my average star rating. I've chosen Agatha Christie by Lucy Worsley as my favourite read of the month. I just thoroughly enjoyed this, and also I gave a couple of 5 stars, but this was a surprise 5-star, and I love a surprise 5-star. So this is going to go into my favourite reads of the year stack, which is over there. So that was my favourite read of the month. And then unfortunately, and I feel a bit bad because this was gifted to me, but my most disappointing read of the month was The Things We Do to Our Friends by Heather Darwin, because I was really excited for this and I've already kind of forgotten quite a bit about it. So yeah, that's going to be my most disappointing read for the month. My TBR, excuse me, stands at 49 books. So 50 is my limit, right? Or it's supposed to be my limit. So we are, it's a higher TBR than I would like, but we're at 49. And the oldest book on my TBR is from November, which is A Murder is Announced, which is my next Agatha Christie to read, which is really funny given that I just read her autobiography. So I will be reading that in May. And then I have one DNF, which was Disorientation. And then for balancing the books, so 12 books came off my TBR. I read 17, but some were rereads and some were audiobooks, which I didn't have physically. So I had 12 out. So I had 18 books came in this month. Whoops. So that's obviously 6 more in than out. And year to date, I've got 12 more. I've had 12 more books come in than I've read. So I need to try and do something about that. I'm not doing too badly, but still. So those are the stats. And yeah, thank you for watching this far. If you have, like I said, April was a good month. We're now a few days into May and it already feels like the start of April feels like ages ago. But thank you for watching along with all the usual chaos. As you can hear, my voice is going and I need to open May's vlog. So I'm going to leave this here. If you made it to this point in the video, just leave me a little detective emoji, because Agatha Christie was the queen of detective fiction. Please subscribe if you would like more of this chaos, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks everyone. Bye.